Hello, I'm Garry Shrum, Music Director here at Heritage, and we're here to talk about the Beatle auction. And my colleague,
Gary Mays. I'm a consignment director and cataloger here at Heritage Auctions, and we are so excited to be able to share with you some of the items that we have coming up.
yeah, we've got some great stuff. We had a really brilliant Beatles auction back in February, celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Beatles coming to America. Another one followed in July. Now this will be our December 2nd, 3rd, and 4th auction that has some really great Beatles stuff.
It really does, and we are so, like I said, we are so excited. We just wanted to hop right in if we can. We have a wonderful piece, and it was originally done by Mr. Paul McCartney. It's behind us. He originally painted it oil on canvas back in 1990, and it is called Andy in the Garden. And what he had done, he had some prints made in 1999. This particular piece was signed by Paul in the bottom left corner. One of the neat things about it is obviously it says Andy in the Garden. That's, of course, Andy Warhol,
Right.
who was friends with Paul McCartney. And one of the quotes that Paul said about it was, Andy gave the Velvet Underground complete freedom. Whatever they wanted to record, how they wanted to present their music. And Paul always appreciated that. He appreciated the openness and the thinking out of the box.
And let's just talk about how vibrant it is.
Oh my gosh.
This is coming out of the collection of Joe Ribowitz,
Yes, sir.
and I've met him back at the 50th anniversary Beatles convention in New York. And we've been talking ever since, and he's decided to sell some of his great pieces. I walked into his house and saw this. I said, oh my gosh, this is just so cool. Like I said, it's vibrant. You look at it, it just jumps out at you.
You know, it really is. You know, when Paul decided to actually start painting, I was so excited, being a lifelong Beatle fan, but I knew he had other dimensions to how he represented himself. And one of the things that this is abstract art. It really is. And I can't think of a better musician, artist than Paul McCartney to create something like this.
And we've got a lot more from Joel's collection to talk about, and you can go to our website at ha.com and see this auction right now. And it's fabulous. We have nearly 800 pieces in the auction, ranging from Beatles to Hendrix to all kinds of great concert posters. But we'll kind of carry on with Beatles right now, and another really great piece from Joel's collection.
Absolutely. This is the Brass Apple promotional paperweight. This came from, obviously, Apple Records. And it's believed to be only about 100 of them made. And it was a specialty piece made for people attending the actual opening ceremonies or party of Apple Studios in 1971.
Yeah, and you could put your favorite thing inside.
Absolutely, and it's all brass, and talk about a wonderful display piece that doesn't take up a lot of room.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And what else are we going to share today, Gary?
So we have some wonderful awards that are in the auction, and please go to our website, as Gary said, to get more detailed pictures. But there is one that is really wonderful, and it is the Travelin' Wilburys debut album, and it is a platinum award that was printed and made for the Travelin' Wilburys. There are only 4 of them made, and we have actually 2 titles. We have the debut, if you will, Volume 1, and then we have Travelin' Wilburys 3.
Yeah, it's great, and that's just so special because it's the biggest super group ever. And some other stuff that Joe loved to collect everything. He started collecting back at the beginning when he saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, and just started picking up everything. He's got the lunch pails, and he's got all these little knickknacks that came out during Beatlemania. But then he's got a lot of really nice, rare Beatle albums too that you'll see in the collection.
He really does, and one of the other platinum awards that we're able to feature is the actual platinum award for Cloud 9, which was George Harrison's album that came out in 1987. What's really spectacular, I think, Gary, about this is it was actually given to Joel from George Harrison.
Yeah, pretty special. You can't get much cooler than that, can you?
So one of the really cool things also about the cover art on Platinum, the Platinum album Cloud 9, is George is playing his original 1957 Gretsch Duo Jet. He actually purchased this piece in Liverpool back in 1961, and he had gifted it to Klaus Forman. And when he was thinking about, what are we going to put on the cover of this, he went back to Klaus and said, let me borrow it back. And he restored it, and he actually used it on the cover. George is holding it.
Yeah, how cool is that?
Oh my gosh, it's just fabulous.
Very nostalgic.
And another reason, of course, I love the album, of course, but this was kind of the introduction to Jeff Lynne into the Beatles world. He'd been friends with them on and off over the years, but this was the first one in '87 where he co-produced with George.
Yeah, just great stuff. And then as you'll see on the website, we've got Joel's collection all tagged at the bottom of the description so you can tell what he's got. And there will be more. There will be a part 2 and a part 3. This gentleman had an unbelievable collection when I got to his home. It took quite a few days to pack all this stuff up.
Well, he's great. He is definitely a man that was involved in that area of the business, and definitely has pieces that reflect his time there.
He worked with McCartney. He worked with Ringo. A lot of merchandising. You'll see in the bio that we've got online and in the catalog that he was very on the spot with the Beatles, and that's why you'll see some pieces that are very close and dear to him that he's letting us auction off. So very exciting.
Wow, the Beatles' last live performance, the Rooftop, January 30th, 1969.
And Chris O'Dell was there.
She was.
How cool is that? And what better? Somebody had a Polaroid and shot a picture and gave her from the rooftop.
Actually was on the rooftop when they performed, and in mid-performance took that photo. One of the wonderful things about the Beatles legacy, if you will, was how great they were live. They were just a great band. It worked. The chemistry between them was just spectacular.
They just had the look.
They did.
Let's not forget that. I mean, right from the beginning, they had the look, but they had a vibe. When they started playing, they had a magic that just oozed off the stage, and even you can watch it on TV and you just get this vibe. And watching them on the rooftop in this photo that she was gifted by somebody that had a Polaroid that day. Here's a piece of history.
An actual
right
piece
there.
of history. And what's wonderful about Chris is she was telling us the story about being up on the rooftop and saying, that the Fabs went back and forth on whether they should go up or not and play. Because at first they were going to, go to different spots around the world and perform, and then they decided not to do that. And we also have to remember, this is right after George Harrison had come back into the band because he had left the band for a while. So they were trying to be very cool to him, of course. And but once they finally decided, well, let's just go up and play. That's exactly what they did. And from what Chris was sharing with us was that they received a memo, the staff, that said, no one's allowed on the roof because of the vulnerability of the construction. They had to reinforce the roof back then.
Oh yeah, you can even see it in Sir Jackson's video that he redid on Disney last year, where Paul's going up there and he's jumping on it and saying, well, okay, this is strong. But the boards were loose, you could see him moving.
Oh, absolutely. And
I wouldn't have done it.
So she's sitting there going, well, at least I can listen to it. And then Tony Richmond, who was the main cameraman, stopped by her office and just said, hey, are you going up? And she goes, well, we were told non-essential are not allowed on the roof. And he looked at her and said, now you're essential. You'll be my assistant. So, of course, she hopped up and went right up there. Yeah. And even as cold as it was, I mean, oh my gosh, to see these guys play and to see the joy they had. They only played 42 minutes before the Metropolitan Police actually did finally close them down.
Which was, a long concert for the early days. They were down very much.
It was. When they toured America in 64, 65, and 66, I remember Ringo would say, if we liked you, we played 30 minutes. If we didn't, we played about 25. They speed it up.
But Chris has an array of stuff in the auction. She has so much really, really cool stuff and great stories. As you know, Miss Odell has a book, and it's out there that it's a good read. And
Oh,
there's a
absolutely.
documentary right around the corner going to happen here real soon. Another great piece that Chris has given us to auction off is a small poster or handbill for the Monterey Pop Festival. The Beatles were invited to play at Monterey.
Absolutely.
They were working on an album, a very special album.
Yes, they were.
Sgt. Pepper.
Sgt. Pepper.
And they decided to make a poster and gift them to use for there. And these were printed up in a small quantity by Derek Taylor, who Chris had worked for.
Absolutely.
Some great pictures of him in his office that Chris has, which we will offer with this piece. This has been reprinted. People have probably seen the artwork
Sure.
reprinted, but here's an original piece that we didn't even know existed.
So what makes this so special, just like Garry said, is, and Chris says it in her explanation, which is a sheet that she has typed and signed and notarized, was she was going over to A&M Studios in California to pick up Derek Taylor and walked into his office and was visiting with him and then said, well, what's that flyer behind your desk? And he said, oh, well, that's from the Monterey Pop Festival. And she asked him to explain, what it was about. And just like Garry said, Derek had gone to the Fabs and said, can you contribute something to this? And they were obviously kind enough to create some original art. And when Chris was just totally mesmerized by what Derek said, Derek reached back and pulled it off his wall and just handed it to her and said, now you're a part of history as well.
Yeah, you can see the tack hole, had it just tacked on the wall. So
Wonderful
what a
piece.
story.
And
But
it
again,
came
like
from the man.
Yeah, like I said, she's got a book. You can hear these detailed stories. They're just wonderful. And there's a lot of stuff that we have that ties into the book. And we got some more great stuff
Absolutely.
from another part of her history.
One of the neat things about Chris Odell that I've always loved is she was not only an employee of Apple and the Beatles, she actually became close friends and in a lot of respects, family to them. And one of the couple of wonderful lots we have in the auction is some Christmas cards, one sent from Ringo and Barbara Bach to Chris, and of course they're signed and by both of them. And then another was from George Harrison and Olivia, and they're both signed by both of them as well.
Real nice stuff. And she was very, very tight with the family. Even she was at the Love premiere in Las Vegas.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
they gave her an advance package, which is in the auction.
It sure is.
It's just nothing. I can't say enough about how great a person she is to work with, and unbelievable stories. So just wait till you see the documentary.
It's
It'll
going to
really
be
open
wonderful.
a lot of people's eyes.
Chris obviously has been associated with the Beatles. A lot of people don't know that she was one of the key figures in the Rolling Stones in terms of when they toured and their infamous 1972 tour. She was not only part of that, we have a lot of her mementos and memories that are offered in the auction.
Yeah, that's great. And she's got a lot of great stories about that particular tour, and anybody that's into the Stones has heard the unbelievable tour that it was. I mean, they were
Yes.
just breaking new ground with new music, and the boys were having a good time while they were doing it.
They really were. And one of the other lots that we're so happy to offer was she typed the lyrics to the songs that were on the classic Stones album, Exile on Main Street. And one of the things I love about it, we have 14 pages that were typed by Chris and that Mick Jagger actually made his notations and his corrections to those lyrics. And I'm real excited about that lot.
Yeah, and you got the Rolling Stone Tug logo on each page.
Yes.
It's really one of a kind, obviously, and that's going to be offered in the auction too.
It's really neat when you have a Beatle write a song about you, and it actually comes out on an Apple record. And what I'm referring to is the song Miss Odell, which was the flip side of
Give Me
the
Love.
huge hit by George Harrison, Give Me Love, from 1973. And so we are also offering in that a lot of her personal stuff from Apple. We have a 45 that is actually signed by her as well. we're really excited to be able to also offer some wonderful items from a gentleman named Jack Oliver. He was president of Apple Records from 1969 to 1971, and he was a huge influence in those early days of Apple.
Yeah, and we're just so lucky to have worked with his son and got some really unique things that he had kept for himself through the years. You'll see that through the auction, but a few really unbelievable stuff. And of course, everybody knows that the White Album was numbered and low numbers are rare, and he decided he'd keep number 100.
Absolutely.
So here you go, number 100. How cool is that?
I mean, from the president of Apple Records, I think that's very fitting on the Apple label.
Yeah, it's just got, and it still has all the photos
All
and the
the
poster and the
inserts.
records intact, in good condition. And that is just one of many things that we have offered. And one of the other unique things is,
Yes, his personal copy of 50 Years Adrift, which was the personal accounts of Derek Taylor, as we've talked before. This was put out by Genesis Publications in 1984. Genesis is the supreme publisher of rock art books, if you will.
they've done over a few hundred of different ones. This is the very first one that they ever did,
Yes, sir,
which
back
was
in
followed by
84.
I Me Mine, which was the George Harrison. Again, you get autographed
Oh,
copy here.
absolutely. One of the things that I love about this is the foreword is written by George Harrison, and he signs it, obviously. And Derek has signed it as well. And it just gives an insightful account on exactly what happened according to, Derek Taylor. And obviously he was there. And we're excited about this one because it came from Mr. Oliver himself.
Yeah. And again, like I said, there's lots of other Jack Oliver pieces in the auction that, stuff that came directly from Apple, from his desk. And you can go on the website at ha.com and check these pieces out. They will be in the auction that is going to be December 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
So we have a wonderful piece right here that came from Mr. Oliver. And of course, Apple Records. And this is called A is for Apple. And it was designed by the, what would you call them, the psychedelic minstrel group? They were called The Fool.
Yeah, but they were painters and artists too, because they painted John Lennon's Rolls Royce. They painted
They
the
sure
outside of Apple. Eric Clapton's SG, as
His
we were
SG
talking about.
he used for Cream,
Yeah,
of course.
so they were very active in the whole Beatles scene at the time, and when you saw pictures of them, they were all dressed up very, mystical gypsy kind of style, and four
very
of them,
colorful.
2 girls, 2 guys.
And this is
great.
the actual print that was Mr. Oliver's and on his wall, and we would love to have someone be able to put it on their wall as well.
Yeah, he could look cool on your walls, just like it looks cool right here.
Absolutely.
Okay, here's something extremely special. I mean, people grow up through the years looking at different album covers and enjoying the artwork and seeing it on a cardboard cover. Here we've got the original artwork for a masterpiece.
Amen.
That is just, the more you look at it, the more you see. And when you look close, each little thing was, I don't even know a style for it.
I mean, I remember when the album came out in 1975. Of course, we're talking about Elton John, Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. Just an amazing piece by one of the best painters of his generation, Mr. Alan Aldridge. And this was Elton's 9th studio album.
Yeah.
Elton, of course, is Captain Fantastic, and Bernie Taupin is the Brown Dirt Cowboy.
Yeah.
And what's cool about this also is, Alan made a name for himself by doing several albums before then. He did the Who's second album called A Quick One. He did the cover artwork. He also did the Beatles' illustrated lyrics. And
Volume 1 and 2.
Yes.
Unbelievable art.
And he did Goodbye Cream, the cover artwork. So he already kind of established himself. So when this came along, I remember buying the album because it had the huge hit Someone Saved My Life Tonight on it. And I still hear that song on the radio. So it's really a wonderful.
And the artwork has the impact like a Salvador Dali painting. There's so much, you keep looking at it and seeing more and more.
You
and when
do.
you look at it, each thing is raised. He had to go through and paint a little bit, masking it off, and paint a little more, mask it off. It had to take months and months just to do this piece.
Oh, absolutely.
We've got it. Pretty cool.
He got a lot of the inspiration by a 3-panel painting, and it was called The Garden of Earthly Delights by Hieronymus Bosch. And so he took a lot of that imagery and artwork to motivate him and to go ahead and lay out what he did here. And one of the really cool things, of course, I've always loved the album. It was recorded at Caribou Ranch, where a lot of the classic albums were recorded. And as Garry said, the detail is stunning. And one of the quotes that I read that Elton had mentioned is said, he was very pleased, to say the least, when he was presented with this artwork for his approval. Well, I have to say, being able to talk about this next gentleman is one of the main reasons I got into music, and that, of course, is master and engineer Mr. Bob Ludwig. I can't even imagine all the albums that he had mastered over the years. You know, he started with his mentor, Mr. Phil Ramone, who in his own right was an absolute genius. And Phil showed him how to actually work the disc cutter to get in there and cut discs and to transfer the audio technology. And, you know, Mr. Ludwig pretty much shaped the way records sound and the way they should sound. So we have some wonderful lots here to share with you.
Oh yeah, we have an unbelievable array of stuff that came right out of his studio.
Oh, absolutely.
And the stories that he was telling us, and Michelle Castro, who works here in the Estates Department, and I were at his studio, and he put on some music for us. He put on Beck and Joe Bonamassa that he had been working on. The Hollywood Bowl hadn't even come out yet. And we were listening to the quality was just frightening. I mean, it kind of ruins you. You hear something like that, you go, I never got to hear anything.
I want to hear it that way again, you know.
I want to hear music like this all the time. But he was the master, working right from the beginning with, well, like one of the pieces we have in the auction is this Led Zeppelin.
Oh my gosh, the hot mix, as it were.
Yeah, even with his original notes still on the back, on the sleeve.
You know, I mean, we've been aware of the hot mix for a while, and we've had other copies, but we've never had Mr. Ludwig's copy. And, you know, essentially the hot mix was the audio levels were higher, and it made the album sound more lively, more impact. But then also what it would do is that with a lot of turntables around the world, it would make the cartridge and the stylus or the needle, it would make it hop. It would make it jump because it had so much signal going through it at one time.
It was too powerful. And the first time we played one of the albums, because there are a few albums that got out, that's how it got discovered, that it was a bit of a mistake for some people, for people, collectors that want to hear that amazing sound. It is it's a masterpiece.
But to come from him, the man himself, that just makes it that much special, more special to me anyway. So.
And here's 3 of pieces that we have in this auction. Not to mention, you can go on HA Live and see all the other stuff, ha.com, and enjoy all the other great pieces.
Rolling Stones, Tattoo You, of course. AC/DC, For Those About to Rock. Rush Moving Pictures.
Yeah.
What a masterpiece of an album by those 3 guys from Canada.
Well, he did most of the Rush albums. That's
why
they sound so good, because he did them. And he did Todd Rundgren, he did Bruce Springsteen, he did Ozzy Osbourne.
He sure did. He did
Mariah Carey, Journey, exactly.
And he did Nirvana as well. We have a wonderful Nirvana piece that's in the auction.
Yeah, look at that. And what's really neat about these are definitely one of a kind. These are the ones that were given to him. It's not just given to a radio station or somebody else that played an instrument on the album.
Absolutely.
This went to the guy that finished the album, that made it special for our ears, and why these records are still so important 30, 40, 50 years down the road, sound so good, and get new listeners all the time from all ages because of what Bob did with these records.
Absolutely. One of the quotes that Bob said is, every day it's like a complex puzzle to figure out. And he definitely figured it out, I'll tell you.
Yeah, yeah, great stuff. But you can go on the website and see all the great stuff that we've got coming up with Bob's collection. And from A to Z, we've got so many different things from everybody, right? Like I said, we have almost 800 pieces in this auction. That's why we have to do it over 3 days.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And you just won't believe the quality of really great pieces. We have some really nice near mint records that have never been opened, that have been graded and slabbed. You know, like there's really some great mono Beach Boy albums that people need to pick up on.
Absolutely.
Not to mention autographed items, and the concert posters are just out of this world. Could be the best concert posters we've ever had.
I agree. It seems like every time we have one, it gets better and better. I think this one will definitely be a grand slam for sure.
Yeah, with the posters, there's so many things that we've never seen before.
That's so true.
Sure, it's great when you get a skeleton of roses in a 9.8 condition. It's just fabulous. But then when you get a Grateful Dead poster that you've never seen ever, yeah, or a Jimi Hendrix. There was a couple of Jimi Hendrix pieces that came in that Pete worked on. Fabulous.
Absolutely.
You're gonna have a lot of fun going through this auction and looking at the website. So don't miss it. Tell all your friends. Be there or be square.
Amen.
This auction is live. You can go on our website at ha.com, and you can bid live the last day on the telephone, in the room, put in a proxy bid, or just watch it HA live and watch it happen, and jump in where you need to have something on your wall or in your collection.
I think it offers something for everybody. It really does. So please join us.